Hey everyone, welcome back to more Flesh and Bad, and I have some very cool news. So, a very long time ago, I think at least a month or two ago, a couple of my friends and I were working on this deck list. So, Tegan was working on it, Carrie, Scott, Nick, Kobe from Looking for a Scrap on YouTube. We all kind of collaborated on this incredibly pointless Prism deck. So, the goal of this deck is basically to have a deck that is not capable of taking any game actions. And the way that we do this is by basically running a bunch of cards that target heralds, but without any heralds in the actual deck, which is very, very cool. So we have, I think every card in this deck is functionally a no block. We'll talk about the small concession there, but most of these are unplayable no blocks in this deck. So we have Angelic Descent, which targets a herald. We have Angelic Wrath, which also targets a herald. We have Celestial Reprimand, which targets an attack defending a herald. And these are all meant to be functionally irrelevant cards. We also have some kind of like spicy cards like Exposed and Memorial Ground that basically don't have any targets that we can play in this deck. So this deck is functionally designed to not be able to take a game action, and that includes blocking. So we're not including zero blocks in here; we're including no blocks, so that we don't even have the opportunity to be tempted to block as well. The only concession with this deck is Break of Dawn, which is technically a playable card, but it functionally does nothing. So we've kind of let it slide as basically the only card that is technically playable in this deck, even though it's playable do nothing except against Vincent, I guess. So that's kind of like the cool deck we had, and then we have a bunch of equipment that also functionally does nothing in this deck. And we originally had this as a classic constructed deck, but then we decided to like turn this into a commoner deck and then submit it to Dumpster Dive, and we ended up actually winning the Dumpster Dive, which is really cool. I wanted to just kind of point out that this was kind of like a team effort. This wasn't just me designing the deck. I think this was a brainstorm with like a lot of the people in our friend groups. So I wanted to give a big shout out to Kobe from Looking for a Scrap, to Scott, Carrie, Nick, and then also my partner Tegan. I don't think this was a collaborative deck building effort, so it's very cool that our channel is now responsible for getting a dumpster dive win, which I think is very on brand for Flesh and Bad. I was originally going to try to actually like play this deck, but I realized that no one on Talishar plays Commoner, so instead we're going to be actually playing some real Prism, and this is a copy of Tegan's Prism deck, and there's a card specifically that I want to try out today. And that card is Soul Food. So Soul Food, I think, has been in and out of Prism lists for a very long time. I think that it might have been like a fad card at one point. But the reason I'm including Soul Food in this Prism list is I want to try to combo it. Like, I want to basically use it into like the very defensive Florian builds to basically get a bunch of soul and get online super quickly. That's at least the idea. I don't know if that idea has a ton of merit. I'm talking mostly about the chance stacking Florian, like the more defensive build. So because I feel like taking like an off turn to just like play out of Soul Food is actually really cool. And also I think the card is just kind of fun. So I wanted to kind of like play that here while I'm still kind of looking for like what my real deck list that I want to be playing is. Like I think that Kano's fun, but it's still not really, I feel like, a deck for me. And I think Prism's also fun, but still not a deck for me. Like I don't know if there actually is really a deck that's currently like viable right now that really is for me. So we're still gonna experiment with a couple decks, maybe just kind of put our feelers out, see what we like, what we don't like, that kind of thing. So yeah, without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and get into the Prism games. All right, so we got a Florian. What do we want to do in a Florian? First or second? I feel like there are upsides to both. I kind of am maybe leaning. I feel like I'm leaning first just because I think in general in Florian we probably want to do the Aura plan. So into Florian, I want to try to bring in Soul Foods, assuming that they're kind of like more of a chance stacking Florian. I think I'm maybe cutting down on like an Angelic Wrath. We'll leave in the one Reprimand, and maybe we're just fat decking a little bit. Could definitely see that being okay. Also, Parable's not like super crazy, but maybe we just bring it in anyways. All right, let's go ahead and submit it. I want to try out the Soul Foods today because I don't know. I feel like they're fun, and I also feel like they might honestly be good depending on the kind of type of Florian here. All right, Dread Scythe is interesting. What does Dread Scythe mean? I'm not entirely sure. Hmm. Kind of like the idea of sending Erudition with Dominate here, and then maybe just arsenaling the Genesis for something they want to do next turn. We're gonna give them a little bit of filtering, but I think that's okay. And this Erudition might force out armor, which I think is pretty relevant in this matchup. Yeah, they do have the popper here, but that is a-okay. Not the end of the world here. I think we'll just go ahead and pay into it. I don't really think we want to like Sandbag of Blue here. I feel like we're there just cycle towards like our more powerful cards. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and just try to keep Genesis around for next turn. Genesis, I think, is one of our better cards in this matchup. Okay, they have fruits. Definitely pretty solid. So you get 2 graveyard here, which is definitely not bad. Definitely looking to see if I can play the Genesis out some point in the near future. I don't know if we slam it here. It's probably not terrible, though. Then we can maybe just send like a Herald Triumph afterwards. Interesting. I feel like getting the first bit of Soul online is definitely worth using the first Genesis on, although for later Genesises, I think that you want to try to pair them with like the Halo and Soraya turn, just so you have like the Arclight loop, like not the real Arclight loop, but like the pseudo Arclight loop. All right, Kayo with CNC, so they were just going to take this and then play out the Genesis after we get hit by this, which will hopefully prove to be, I think, a little bit annoying against them. I wonder if there's maybe some merit to blocking just a little bit, like maybe blocking with one of these heralds and then just like setting up an arsenal or something. That could be worth it, but I also kind of like the idea of sending a herald. All right, so we'll go ahead and take 6 here, and then we'll play this out in response. Let's go ahead and give them. I want to give them here. I guess we'll just give them the 2 to Angelic Wrath. It's a little bit awkward to stack those next to each other, but we are going to shuffle at like multiple points this game, so I don't think that's going to matter. Need to remember that this is not necessarily a stacking deck. All right, let's go ahead and put Blue Triumph into Soul. I think we're just sending in with Yellow Triumph, maybe forcing a couple cards out of their hand. They're kind of priced in here to just attacking Genesis. I kind of think that maybe we're actually supposed to just like block 3 on that, just so we clear the extra card out of hand, because I do like keeping an arsenal, especially if they're going to just spend the turn clearing Genesis. I think I'm still trying to shake off the Prism Rust here a little bit, but we do find a nice little Merciful, which will be quite good. Destroy target aura they control if they do create a rune chain token. Ooh, that's pretty bad for us. So when do they target? I guess is the question. So we're going to be taking 6 here for sure. I think there's a trigger on the stack. And then they have to choose a target, right? When this hits a hero, choose a target aura they control, and then if you destroy it, destroy target aura. So I feel like I have a response to the target if this is coded correctly. Oh, sorry, whoops. Yeah, I might need them to do it. I might have passed through it there. Right, pass. Right, so we'll get hit. Let them choose the trigger. Okay, maybe we don't have the opportunity to respond to that. Okay, that's kind of weird, but that's, I think, okay. Actually, maybe it's not okay. Sorry. One more time. Let's do the Merciful in response to this, I guess. Sure. I guess they get to choose the Merciful. That still seems like a little bit weird. Like, I guess this is all one ability, right? It's kind of interesting to think about. All right, so now I think they get to choose which aura to destroy. So it looks like they're destroying the Genesis, which is functionally, I guess, what we wanted to happen anyways, or what we thought was going to happen. So we'll go ahead and get a couple little pings on them, get them down to 40, which is still very scary in this matchup. But we at least get to Arsenal our Soul Food, which I do think is one of the maybe better cards into this chance stacking version of Florian, but I'm curious to see if it will perform against just normal Florian. All right, unfortunately not super good on this hand, I feel like. Because we do have the aura, the Figment in hand, which I'm not necessarily excited to part with. Could just play out another Merciful, though, which is also not bad. But then we're not really doing a ton on our turn. We'll see what they do here. It's starting out with a Bramble Spark fusing Arcane Seed's life, so I imagine they're probably going to play that next. Maybe after making some runes. It makes sense to me. Curious what the remainder of their hand is, though. Wait, don't they have an Arcane Seeds in hand? Yeah, how are they paying for this? Interesting. Huh. Right, this here I think makes a little bit more sense, so they're choosing to attack me here. So we'll go ahead and take the Rune Chant here. And I think we're also probably going to end up taking the full damage here. It's definitely a lot. Pretty painful turn, honestly. So we'll go ahead and take one there. I need to turn off the halo here. Yeah, definitely a little bit dicey. So we'll take the full 9 here. Unfortunately, this is just not a hand that can block 9 on a CNC. And I guess we'll just go ahead and play out another Merciful on our turn, and then maybe Arsenal this Red Triumph for the future. Definitely feel like we're almost in a territory where, depending on what they draw, they can maybe just start ignoring the auras. Wonder if maybe saving that 3 life so that we're up at 12 wins us this game. It's definitely possible. Alright, and we'll go ahead and Arsenal this pass back. Hoping that they just get a 5-card hand that they're not able to utilize here. That would be kind of the best case scenario. They like kill a Merciful here, I think we're very happy. As long as they're not sending like a bunch of arcane damage along with it. Alright, I think they got a pretty wide turn here, so that Gloomveil is maybe going to be a bit painful. Let's go ahead and just pay with our blue here and maybe just try to block out a bit. But yeah, this is, I think, going not super well for us. I think we'll go ahead and take the 4 here and just see what their follow-up is. Alright, so taking a turn to kill Merciful, I think we are more than happy with that. So we'll get a nice little soul buffer here. We do need to still capitalize on it at some point, but I think that our Herald hand is quite decent here. So let's, I guess, start with the Herald from hand just in case they Purgatory us. Although if they Purgatory us, it's going to be bad no matter what. But I guess we'll still lead off with the one from hand because I guess it's just slightly better. I don't know if it is better. I don't know if it actually matters all that much. I think if we get face Purgatory, we're probably in a pretty tough spot. This matchup seems hard. Yeah, seems like maybe face Purgatory is the play here. That'd definitely be pretty good. Definitely a little bit more happier now that they're just blocking with this armor instead of going for the face Purgatory, because I think the face Purgatory might end up being a blowout. But we do get a nice little double Herald here, which is not anything too bad. We've got the soul buffer, but we just don't have the figments hitting, which is, I think, the biggest problem here. I feel like our soul food just like did not line up, especially into a 9 damage CNC that we couldn't block. All right, we do get our first figment though, which is pretty good. Go ahead and get eruditions just so we can keep an arsenal. And maybe there's some hope here. We are also pinging one with the ponder token, which is kind of cool. think there's definitely maybe a way to stabilize here. I wonder if they got a big aggressive with base purgatory there. If they went on the spot, they probably do. I think they had the opportunity to do it, right? If they went like Summer's Fall plus Channel Millennium Tree or whatever. All right, so they are going to kill Merciful. Very interesting. So that means our Vestige of Soul is now turned on. I think this might be a good opportunity to pop Halo. So how are we popping Halo here? We can like pop Halo, flip, and then like play out Arclight and like kind of get some of the infrastructure for the loop going. We're probably not going to be able to like full loop Florian, but what we can do is maybe just get like a partial loop and then just try to outvalue him from there. Let's go ahead and pop Halo here, putting, I guess, a blue Herald into Soul. Go ahead and activate Prism. Let's get, you don't have to decompose either, which is kind of interesting. Let's go ahead and get Protection here, I think. And then we'll go ahead and flip Erudition. Oh, we don't have Rebirth in this board, do we? Interesting. I wonder if we're supposed to bring in Rebirth actually with the Soul Food plan. We probably are. And then I think, are we good to call it here? Could also jam the Arclight, but that doesn't seem actually that good. I think we're planning on just Sorayaing and just trying to capitalize on the value over multiple turns. So we'll go ahead and start with Soraya. Banish card. Draw 2. Alright, another Arclight's not super helpful, I feel like. But we can still play out at least one here. I don't think there's any world where they face Purgatory the Angel. Does this make sense? I mean, I feel like it's not great. Yeah, I feel like just maybe just playing out or blocking with a card here is maybe smarter. So now what do? We know that they have the ability to activate Face Purgatory, most likely. Fortunately, we don't have the extra blue here for the War Tune. Wonder if we're maybe supposed to hold on to the other blue, but then we don't have like the guaranteed go again off Soraya, which is awkward as well. I'm trying to think of all the different things we could have done differently. What if we just send Heralds here? Is that actually better than sending or like developing out the Arclight? It might actually be. Because now we can threaten like two Heralds and then Arsenal and Arclight, if assuming they're gonna go for Face Purgatory here. We can like discard an Arclight, put another Arclight in Arsenal. Interesting. They're also not choosing to activate it here. Huh. That almost seems kind of wrong to me. But I'm not sure. I will probably take the opportunity to just flip here if they give us the opportunity. So you use an Arclight to just flip. I think that's reasonable. Yeah, so we won't pay into the Phantasm here. I think that's fine. And then we'll just go ahead and I think flip Protection. I feel like this game is like a little bit sloppy on my end, but I'm also like have not played this deck in at least a couple months. But I think our board state's pretty good, especially if they don't have anything here, which is pretty unlikely that they like. I don't think there's many zero cost Florian attacks. I guess they could like Gloomveil us or whatever, which wouldn't be too bad. But now we get to send some Arclights, which is pretty sweet. So go ahead and Light of Soul. Ooh, we get a Genesis, which will turn on our Vestige. Very, very good. Losing a Genesis, I do think kind of hurts a little bit there. I wonder if that's actually wrong. We might have wanted to keep that Genesis just so we can like keep getting soul, but I think this is still like kind of fine with what we got going on. Sand is pretty gross. Let's go ahead and I guess tack in with Protection as well. We'll pitch Figment of War. Actually, do we want to do this now? Hold on. Can we send a Herald and then also play out Arclight? Let's do some counting here. So we have 3, 3, 4. So we have 10 resources here. We pay 2, which means we have 8 resources, and we can still play an Arclight if they face Purgatory us. And then we can also still attack with Angel. So I think this works out. I guess we'll go ahead and just pitch like this, just in case. Actually, I wonder if that pitch is wrong. Was there a better way to pitch? It might have been actually more correct. Or maybe it doesn't matter. I wonder if there was a way to pitch. I don't think there was a way to pitch so that we could like keep two resources floating, so that we could like arc light after they face Purgatorius. I don't know if that's doable. All right, they're just gonna go for the pop here. Can we pay into pop? So we have 6 here. We have 1 here. We can't. We could play the arc light from Arsenal, and then we still couldn't attack with Angel. So I think this is fine. Yeah, I think this is fine. We just won't pay into it, I think. Right, because we need 6 here. We have 6 in hand. We have 1 floating. Yeah. So I don't think we can pay for this. So we'll say no, and then I think we'll just jam an Arclight here. Then we get to Arsenal Arclight as well, and we still have a pretty decent soul buffer. So I think this game is turning a little bit in our favor, maybe. Ooh, Library is also a very good find, I think. I think we just need to hope they don't have like a way to make a bunch of rune chants. They have already used 1 arcane seed, so if they have another, it gets a little bit scary. But I think this is maybe okay. Unfortunately, I think our soul food hasn't really done a ton yet. I guess we still have the second copy, but maybe the second copy will impress us a little bit more. Right, killing Arclight seems pretty good. They fortunately don't get the decompose trigger off that, which is very, very fortunate for us. So we'll go ahead and lead off with Soraya again. Pitching what here? I guess we'll pitch Parable, because I feel like we're more likely to play Wrath than Parable. Parable is kind of like whatever in the Florian anyways, I feel like. Definitely want to slam this library if we can, though. Banish. And I think we're definitely kind of cooking here. All right, so if we want to play Arclight plus Library, we can do that. Can we do anything else in addition to that, though? So we play out. So this is 6 for that. This is 3 for that. So I don't think we can do everything, which is fine, I think. I think we're just going to slam the Arclight and then slam the Library, and then maybe Arsenal Triumph or something. Or maybe Arsenal the Judgment or the Wrath. One of these two. I think we want to Arsenal the Wrath. Oh, we can't Arsenal the Wrath. Oh, because the card hasn't put in a soul. That's still fine, I think. I think we're still just playing out Library because it's functionally the same as getting an Arsenal, right? Yeah, sure. Go ahead and just slam Library. I forgot we didn't have a card in Soul, but that's fine. I was thinking that we were doing like Vestige math, but we're just doing normal bad Prism math, basically. Still kind of works out here, though. Get to draw a nice little 5 cards here, and they're still attacking into an Arclight. Ooh, we'd have the Merciful Retribution as well. Definitely pretty solid if they want to go for the pop here. I don't know if we're gonna play it though, honestly. We might just want to jam it at the end of our turn. So I think we're just gonna let him kill it here. Like we could play the Merciful there, but then we're like losing cards in our next turn, which I'm not in love with. So we'll go ahead and I think just start with this. I think we're gonna get rid of Judgment here, and then attack in. Go ahead and banish a card from Soul. Get that Triumph out of here. I think we're gonna swing with some Heralds here, and then maybe play out an Aura at end of turn. Maybe we'll swing with like I don't know if we're swinging with Erudition. I guess the Erudition is probably just our best Herald here. Yeah, probably. Still need to find a way to pitch a yellow too, which is definitely awkward with the 3 blue hand and the two auras that we kind of want to play actively. Do also want to find some room to try to make some spectral shields with this angel if I can, just because they're pretty good against rune chants. And if we can keep our angels alive for a decent amount of time, then they get a lot better. All right, so get a nice little hit with our angel there, and now let's go ahead. I think just Erudition. Do we want to play the Merciful or the Genesis? Which is better? feel like Merciful. I don't know which is better. I feel like Genesis is more threatening, but I feel like Merciful is better overall. Let's, I guess, play a Genesis because it's more threatening. So I'll go ahead and pitch the Retribution here. I imagine this eats like maybe the Face Purgatory or something, but that's still kind of fine with us, I feel like. I just want to make sure that we're eating a yellow and pitch here, which I think is important if we want to get our library value and then also just be able to kind of develop from there. Notably, this does, I guess, play your own Face Purgatory because it does have Dominate. That is something that I constantly forget. Then I guess here we're just going to... It's actually pretty resource efficient to attack with Angel here. We want to banish our last card from Soul. It's a little bit suspect. But we do have a Genesis we're playing also. I think we're not going to banish it. Let's not get too greedy. I think we're just going to take our 4 value here because I would ideally like to get another swing off Soraya if I can help it. And I think we'll end with the Genesis here. Then our Soul the Blue War Tune, which is kind of whatever, but a Blue War Tune is a Blue War Tune. I feel like Florian's like a pretty tough matchup. I probably need a lot more reps into it to get like super comfortable with it, but I've heard that it's not like as trivial matchup as a lot of people maybe think it is. So they're attacking Aegis here, which does make sense. Reduces the ability for us to make spectrals. I assume they probably have a plan for Soraya as well, if they're attacking like this. Right, Dread Sight. So they're gonna target Soraya with this, which will deal 1 arcane damage. But this isn't gonna kill Soraya. I wonder if they want to do this, because this does not fully kill here. Yeah, because we get to keep Soraya here, which is pretty strong. Let's, I guess, go ahead and put a Blue War Tune into Soul. She'll turn on our Vestige, which is really nice. Then I guess we'll just lead off here. Let's lead off with Heralds, because I don't know if I necessarily want to swing with Soraya to, like, draw cards. Because, like, drawing cards with this doesn't do a ton. Like, unless we find another aura that we want to play. How many auras have we seen? We have a Genesis on board, we have Genesis and Soul, and then we have 3 other auras, so it's pretty unlikely that we're going to draw into another aura. Alright, seems like they're just going to cover this with the React. Makes sense. I think I'm just going to try to get some library value here, and then just... I think we're not committing into Soraya. I feel like card draw doesn't really do a ton for us here. I guess we could draw into like a soul food or something weird, but like even then I feel like that doesn't really help us too much. Kind of hoping they have a popper for this. If they did, it would be really good because we get to play out an aura and then Arsenal an aura. But yeah, I feel like I don't know if drawing up Soraya really does much there. All right, and unfortunately our opponent did have to leave there, but I think we were doing like a pretty decent job there. I think we'll leave that game in there for now because I think that my limit in terms of how long I can record games is kind of vastly approaching. Let's see if we can get a real game though. All right, so we got a KO. What do we want to do in a KO? This matchup's weird. I feel like Brute is pretty hard, but we'll go ahead and do our best here. So what are we bringing against Brutes? So we cut our red heralds and then maybe bring in another reprimand seems pretty solid. Yeah, seems pretty good. Reprimand is pretty solid into brutes in general. So I think we'll run it like this. It seems like running Vestige is also curious to me. I wonder if this board is correct. All right, seems like they're just going to make 2 mites on the start of their turn. That I think is fine with me. Let's go ahead and I guess just cover this up. And then we'll hold on to Herald of Erudition plus Angelic Wrath, which could be pretty solid into them. I think we will probably try to pop Dreamweavers on it. Maybe this forces out some armor or something. Definitely, I think, an aggressive use of Dreamweavers. But if they're gonna give us like the Savage Feast like this, I'm assuming that they're getting like maybe a little bit greedy here. So we'll try to punish them for getting I think a little bit greedy there. I think the Dreamweavers ended up being pretty worth it at least. Let's go ahead and get our Erudition online. And then are we going to just slam a Parable Humility here? It does eat their 3 Might tokens, which is pretty valuable. And then we're just pondering into a random arsenal. I think that's fine. We'll even, I guess, overpitch here a little bit. It's definitely awkward, but I think it's still fine. Yeah, so we'll close the combat chain, just pass back. Right, go ahead and arsenal another Erudition, which is pretty good, especially if we have the opportunity here to send it off an Angelic Wrath. All right, so we have an Erase Face coming in as well, which is targeting us. We might want to just end up playing like a Genesis here, but that will unfortunately mean that we won't be able to like put a card into Soul with Genesis. Notably, this whatever Herald. Do we care about Erase Face? What cares about Erase Face? It's Illusionist, so Footsteps care about it. Halo cares about it, and then I think Vestige also cares about it. But we could just still send Heralds because I think this only cares about the name being Herald. This doesn't care about it. I think we might just want to send this hand and try to get a little aggressive. So yeah, I think we're just fine. Maybe trying to send a little bit of damage here. I feel like the Erase Face definitely does a decent bit of work, but we're still able to, I think, send some stuff here. So how do we want to start this? Let's, I guess, start with Erudition again, maybe? So unfortunately, we won't be able to give this... If they pop it here, it gets a little bit awkward. I wonder if we're maybe supposed to send the Triumph instead. Wait, why is this not popping? Wait, Erase Face. This hits. Lose all cost. Wait, why is this not popping? Oh, because of Parable Humility. Okay, I'm done. Sorry, I thought it was a whoops, sorry. I thought this was a interaction with I thought this was an interaction with Footsteps or whatever. Or like I thought this was some interaction with Erase Face, but I guess here we do get the opportunity to Angelic Wrath, which is quite nice. We're still going to be able to draw the cards here, I think. Yeah. So we'll go ahead and get a Figment here. Let's get, I don't know, what do we want? Maybe War is like fine. Just get the extra Courage token. Then we'll go ahead and pass here. And then let's go ahead and flip as well. Let's maybe flip War. Don't feel incredibly strongly. I think I'm just flipping this mostly for the health more than anything. And then we'll go ahead and I think maybe just finish with the Triumph Arsenal War Tune. I think this is pretty good. We'll not banish from Soul. I think we're just doing this mainly for the life, and then we'll save our Soul for the Figment of Erudition turn, I think. All right, go ahead and just send in with the Herald for 7, which maybe eats another attack out of them, or maybe just they eat it or something. All right, what do we want to get here? We could also get a Protection, which just gives us another Spectral, which I think is pretty good. I think we've actually got a pretty decent setup against this KO. All right, it seems like they're maybe just going to take an off turn to try to kill our Parable here. This is going to be a pretty good Erudition turn if we do manage to find like an Arclight, but we can still also slam the Library here, which I think is quite good. This hand might need a little bit of help, though, is the issue, because we can't play Merciful next turn, because I think we need to pitch it. So I think that's what we're probably going to do. So let's Halo with the Merciful, and I think we're just putting one of these blue Heralds into Soul. Let's, I guess, which one do we want to keep holding on to? I guess the blue War Tune is maybe more flexible. We do already have a blue War Tune in Arsenal, though. Maybe we'll just like get the blue Herald out of the way. And then we could Triumph this turn, which will turn off Poppers. It's especially good now that our Parable's gone. So I guess we will just go ahead and get the Triumph. And the question is, do we need to Soraya here? We do also have our Vestige online because of the Halo, right? So how do we want to lead this off? Let's, I guess, start. It's definitely awkward. So I want to pitch this to turn on library if we can. Let's, I guess, start with a War Tune and see if they go for a pop, which they are likely to do unless they have like a swing big or something, like a 7 popper. They could end up scaling us pretty well this turn. All right, the scaling might hurt a little bit here. I think we just let it resolve. All right, they hit our blue, which is maybe the best case scenario. Can't tell if that's actually good for us. Huh. I wonder. Could also just slam library here and just draw 5. Don't think that's bad either. We do have the extra 1 resource, but it's not really doing a ton for us. So I think we'll just go ahead and slam library. I think it's probably fine. We get an extra card draw out of it, which is pretty good, and then we get to also keep an arsenal from the flush bag. All right, so this might be our erudition turn. Still gonna be a little bit weird because we don't have Halo, but this is maybe fine. I think we're just gonna eat the damage here, so we'll take 1 functionally, and then whatever they have on the back end, we'll probably eat as well. All right, another Wild Ride. Beast Within off the top is a little bit unfortunate, so they're going to go ahead and get a Smash Instinct, which I don't think they can play. I guess they could like Savage Sash it in if they wanted to, but we might be fine with that. Pretty good draw, though. Ooh, another Wild Ride is definitely scary. So they still have that blue in hand, which is not like an insane arsenal target, so we're probably just going to eat this as well. They're out of most of their armor, which I think is pretty important in this matchup. And if we're going to be slamming an Arclight, we're probably in a pretty good spot. We'll go to 9 here, which I think is definitely getting a little bit close, but Prism at 9 is functionally at 30, right? All right, so let's go ahead and lead off on the erudition here. I think we'll go ahead and just pay with the yellow. And let's go ahead and attack in. Do we want to pitch a blue or a yellow? I guess pitching a yellow guarantees that we're going to be able to play the Arclight afterwards. I guess we're guaranteed no matter what, right? So I guess we'll pitch a blue here first just to see what's going on. All right, banish card from soul. So get on to 1 soul. Definitely a little bit dicey. Then we have 7 here, which means we can pay for a popper and then also just Arsenal Triumph, which is, I think, what we want to do here. So we'll send the 1 for 5, I think, instead of just sending like the Red Herald here. But getting to play an Arclight at the end of this turn, I think, is quite solid. All right, so they're going to pop into Phantasm, which is A-okay with us, I think. So we'll go ahead and pay to get an action point back, which I guess we don't need because we're just going to play on Arclight anyways, but it's cool. Then we also get a 6-card hand here, and the 6-card hand is quite good as well. So it looks like they're keeping it humble here, which it's not going to do a ton. I guess they probably want to, yeah, that makes a little bit more sense. Try to Arsenal the humble instead. All right, and I think here we'll just lead off on Sarai one more time. Let's go ahead and pitch a, what yellow do we want to pitch? I guess we want to pitch Rebirth because it's our worst yellow. All right, Double Merciful is pretty solid. So I think we maybe got it here. We can just double Herald and then maybe slam a Merciful at some point. All right, get a little bit extra soul is also very good. Go ahead and target them with Figment. And we'll send in with, I think, 1 more Herald here, maybe with the goal of just trying to slam a Merciful with our blue and then Ninjalagrathing it. Yep, so we'll go ahead and just force it through here, I think. I think there's maybe merit to also just like arsenaling that if we really wanted to. But I think this is also kind of fine. Just get this extra soul and then we get to play Merciful. I think it doesn't matter a ton really what we do here. Still have that humble we do have to be a little bit concerned about. But that's maybe still fine. All right, Wild Ride discarding Erase Face. So Savage Sash. Attack action cards with 6 or more power. So they can actually play that off the Savage Sash. So that is a little bit concerning, but we can just block 6 on that, so I guess it's not too bad. So I think we're going to let Soraya unfortunately die here, but I think that's, well, very okay. Soraya, I feel like, kind of served her purpose pretty well. Could have also, I guess we can't really block anyways. Could have, like, Figment or Protection plus Phantasmal paying a blue, and then block 6 on the other end, and then we get to, like, swing with Soraya one more time. But I don't know if that's actually worth it. I think the play here is just going to be block 6 and then send in Herald of Triumph, holding back Reprimand, and then maybe flip an Angel. Alright, so you're going to target me with it, which makes sense, which will turn off our ability to flip Figments and also get Figments within the deck, which we don't care about. I wonder if we don't actually care about this Humble. Because this also is turning off, like, Luminaris, so we just, like, double Herald them. And, like, we don't care about the... We don't care about the other side of it, necessarily. I wonder if we just flip on art on in response to the hit trigger here. That actually might be the best. So let's take the damage here and then flip in response. Maybe flipping Ravages is maybe the best one. Let's go ahead and flip Ravages. So now next turn we unfortunately aren't going to be able to tutor Figments. We don't have any Figments in the deck, and then we can also still flip our Angel here, but we just can't flip next turn, which is not a big deal, I don't think. All right, let's lead off, I think, on the Herald of Triumph. So we'll do 7 go again into 4 into maybe Arsenal one of these or something. All right, A-okay with that. Now they have to give us their last card to block. Go ahead and banish a card from Soul, hit them. And it seems like they maybe just have a no block in hand as the last card. Cool. All right. Well, that was, I think, a better game than at least the first one there. I think that this matchup is, like, a little bit tough. Like, especially, I feel like they didn't particularly draw, like, incredibly well. They didn't see the blood rushes, but they did have, like, some pretty okay poppers at different points of the game. They just kind of, like, were a little bit awkward with, I think, what we had going on with, like, the Parable of Humility. The one of Parable of Humility actually came in kind of clutch here. Yeah, but this is Tegan's Prism deck. Unfortunately, we didn't really get the opportunity to see Soul Food shine, but I think this is actually maybe worth testing. I don't know. I feel like this card is always, like, in the back of my mind as, like, a card that could be pretty good into, like, very defensive decks, because, like, they're running a bunch of D-Reacts, right? And then you take the entire turn off to, like, Soul Food. Like, it's pretty good, right? And then you just get your, like, Figment, like, get your entire Figment of, like, Rebirth and Figment of Erudition set up, and then you can maybe set up for, like, the Arclight combo and stuff like that. I don't know. May as the one of this is also fine, but, like, the two of, I feel like maybe in some matchups gives you, like, consistency or whatever. This is definitely something I'm going to play around with maybe a little bit more. I don't know if, like, Prism is necessarily the deck I'm gravitating to either, but it's kind of just something fun I wanted to play because Tegan kind of requested it more so than anything. So yeah, hope you all enjoyed the video. Again, we'll go ahead and try to get some more good stuff in the future. We have some very cool stuff planned for the channel as well that we're kind of working on behind the scenes. But yeah, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time. And a special thank you to all the folks who decided it would be a good idea to give us $2 on Patreon. We really appreciate the support, but it's obviously never required.